You wake up. You look at your phone. You check your notifications. You scroll for a few minutes, maybe more than a few. You tell yourself you'll get up in a second, but you don't. Not yet. Eventually, you drag yourself out of bed, not because you want to, but because you have to. You move through your morning on autopilot. Coffee shower. Whatever needs to happen to get you out the door. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this quiet thought. This wasn't the plan. This version of you, the one going through the motions, reacting to everything, always a little behind, always a little tired. This wasn't who you planned to be. But here you are. And the truth is, most people live their entire lives like this. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because they never made the decision to live differently. They never drew the line. They never said out loud or to themselves that today is different, that this week is different, that this year is different. And so nothing changes. The days blur together, the weeks stack up, and 5 years from now, they're still waking up the same way, feeling the same way, wondering why life didn't turn out the way they thought it would. But it's not life that's the problem. It's the pattern. It's the loop. It's the fact that every single day, you're making small choices that either move you forward or keep you exactly where you are. And most of the time, you're choosing comfort. You're choosing easy. You're choosing what feels good right now over what you actually want. And that's the trap. Because comfort doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like rest. It feels like you deserve it. It feels like you're just taking a break before you get serious. But the break never ends. The intention to start never turns into action. And the gap between who you are and who you want to be gets wider every single day. So let's talk about that gap. Because that's what this is really about. The distance between where you are right now and where you know you should be. The distance between the version of you that exists today and the version of you that you think about late at night. The one who's disciplined, the one who's focused, the one who doesn't waste time, the one who doesn't waiting something. That version exists, not as some fantasy, but as a real possibility. But it only becomes real when you start acting like that person. Not next week, not when things calm down, not when you feel ready. Now, because the version of you that you want to become isn't built in one big moment. It's built in 1,000 small ones. And those moments are happening every single day. When you wake up, that's a moment. When you decide what to do first, that's a moment. When you choose what to eat, how to spend your time, who to talk to, what to focus on, those are all moments. And each one is taking you closer to that person or further away. There's no neutral. You're either building or you're coasting. And coasting always leads downhill. So number one, you have to stop waiting for motivation. Because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. It shows up when you don't need it and disappears exactly when you do. You can't build a life around motivation. You have to build it around decision, around commitment, around doing the thing even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, because that's when it counts. Anyone can work out when they're excited. Anyone can stay focused who they're inspired. But the person who works out on the bad day, the boring day, the tired day, that's the person who actually changes. That's the person who builds momentum. And momentum is everything. Because once you start moving, it gets easier. Not because the work gets easier, but because you get stronger. You get used to showing up. You get used to doing hard things. You start to trust yourself. And that trust is what changes everything. Because right now, if you're honest, you probably don't trust yourself. Not fully. You say you're going to do something, and then you don't. You set a goal, and then you plan, and then you ignore it. And every time that happens, you lose a little more trust in yourself. You lose a little more belief that you can actually do this. And eventually, you stop trying. Not because you don't want it, but because you don't believe you're capable of it. But you are. You're just approaching it wrong. You're trying to change everything at once. You're trying to become a completely different person overnight. And when that doesn't work, you give up. But change doesn't work like that. change works in layers. It works in small, repeated actions that compound over time. Number 2, you have to start smaller than you think. Most people fail because they start too big. They decide they're going to wake up at 5 in the morning, work out for an hour, eat perfectly, work on their side project, read for 30 minutes, and meditate before bed. All starting tomorrow. And maybe they do it for a day, maybe 2. But by day 3, they're exhausted. By day 5, you're back to old habits. And now they feel worse than before because they tried and failed again. But the problem wasn't the goal. It was the approach. You can't build a new life on top of an old foundation. You have to start with one thing. One small thing that you can do every single day without fail. Not something impressive. Not something Instagram worthy. Something so small that you have no excuse not to do it. Maybe it's 10 push-ups. Maybe it's reading 1 page. Maybe it's writing for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you do it. Every day, no exceptions, because you're not trying to get results yet. You're trying to build trust. You're trying to prove to yourself that when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it. And once you have that, once you've done the same small thing every day for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, then you add something else, one more small thing, and you build from there, layer by layer habit. And over time, those small things stack up into something massive. But it all starts with one thing, done consistently. Number 3, you have to protect your mornings, because how you start your day determines how the rest of it goes. If you wake up and immediately check your phone, you've already lost. You've handed control of your attention to everyone else, to the news, to social media, to emails and messages and notifications. And now you're reacting, you're responding, you're living in everyone else's agenda instead of your own. But if you wake up and do something intentional first, you set the tone, you take control, you remind yourself that you're in charge, not your phone, not your inbox. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a workout, it could be journaling, it could be sitting in silence for 5 minutes with a cup of coffee. Whatever it is, it has to be something that's for you. Something that makes you feel like you've already won before the day even starts. Because that feeling carries over. It builds confidence. It builds momentum. And by the time you get to the hard parts of your day, you're already moving. You're already moving. And that makes everything easier. But if you start your day in chaos, if you start it distracted and reactive, you'll spend the rest of the day trying to catch up. And you never will. So protect your mornings. Make them sacred. Make them non-negotiable. Because that's where the foundation gets built. Number 4, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because growth only happens outside your comfort zone. That's not a cliche. It's a fact. Your comfort zone is where you stay the same. It's where you maintain. It's where you survive. But it's not where you grow. Growth requires resistance. It requires challenge. It requires doing things that feel hard, awkward, or uncertain. And most people avoid that. They stay inside the bubble of what feels safe and familiar. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But you can't grow and stay comfortable at the same time. You have to choose. And if you choose growth, you have to accept that discomfort is part of the process. It's not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something's working. Every time you feel that resistance, that urge to quit, that voice in your head saying this is too hard, that's the moment. That's where the growth is. And if you push through it, if you stay in it just a little bit longer, you come out stronger on the other side. But if you quit every time it gets uncomfortable, you stay exactly where you are. So start looking at discomfort differently. Stop seeing it as something to avoid. Start seeing it as something to move toward. Because that's where the change is. That's where the person you want to become is waiting. Number 5, you have to stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Because that's what social media does. It shows you the highlight reel, the finished product, the result of years of work edited down to 30 seconds. And you compare that to your day 1, and you feel like you're already behind, like you'll never catch up. like there's no point in even starting. But that's a lie. Everyone starts at zero. Everyone struggles. Everyone has days where they don't know what they're doing. The only difference is that some people keep going anyway. They keep showing up even when they're not good yet, even when no one's watching, even when it feels pointless, and eventually, slowly, they get better. But you never see that part. You only see the end result. And so you think it's supposed to be easy for you, or that you're supposed to be further along by now. But you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And the only thing you need to do is keep moving. One day at a time, one rep at a time, one decision at a time. And over time, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. But only if you start. Only if you stop comparing. Only if you focus on your own path and no one else's. Number 6, you have to take responsibility for everything. Not because everything is your fault, but because blame doesn't help you. It doesn't move you forward. It doesn't change anything. All it does is keep you stuck. When you blame your circumstances, your upbringing, your job, your schedule, other people, you're giving away your power. You're saying that your life is determined by things outside your control. And maybe some of it is, but not all of it, not even most of it. You still have choices. You still have control over how you respond, over how you spend your time, over what you focus on, over what you do next. And when you take responsibility for those things, when you stop waiting for permission or perfect conditions or someone else to fix it, you take your power back. You become the one in control. And that changes everything, because now you're not a victim. You're not stuck. You're someone who's actively building the life you want, one decision at a time. And that's the only way forward. Number 7, you have to remember that time is going to pass anyway. A year from now, you're going to be a year older. That's going to happen whether you do something with that year or not. The question is, who are you going to be when you get there? Are you going to be the same person you are today, just a year older? Or are you going to be someone who's grown, who's built something, who's changed? That choice is happening right now, not later, right now. Because every day that you wait is a day that you can't get back. Every day that you coast is a day that could have been used to build. And the worst part is it doesn't feel like a big deal in the moment. One day off doesn't matter. One day of scrolling doesn't matter. One day of skipping the work doesn't matter. But it's never just one day. It's a pattern. It's a way of living that becomes your default. And before you know it, months have gone by. Years have gone by. And you're still in the same place. Still saying you're going to start, still waiting for the right time. But there is no right time. There's only now. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Not because the work gets harder, but because the gap gets wider. The distance between where you are and where you want to be keeps growing, and eventually it feels impossible. But it's not. It's just going to take longer. So stop waiting, stop planning, stop thinking about it. Just start today. Right now, do one thing. One small thing that moves you in the direction you want to go. And then tomorrow, do it again. And the day after that, do it again. And over time, those small things will add up into something you can't even imagine yet. But only if you start. Number 8, you have to understand that discipline is freedom. That sounds backwards. It sounds like discipline is restriction. Like it's giving up the things you enjoy. But it's the opposite. Discipline is what gives you freedom, because when you're disciplined, you're in control. You're not controlled by your cravings, your moods, your impulses. You're not a slave to what feels good in the moment. You're making decisions based on what you actually want, not what's easiest right now. And that gives you options. It gives you progress. It gives you the ability to build the life you actually want instead of just reacting to the one you have. People who lack discipline think they're free. They think they're doing whatever they want, but they're not. They're doing whatever their brain tells them to do in the moment. They're following impulses. They're trapped in a cycle of instant gratification that never leads anywhere. But people who are disciplined, who have systems, who have routines, they're the ones who are actually free. because they've built a life that supports them. They've built habits that move them forward automatically. They don't have to fight themselves every day. They've already decided, and that makes everything easier. So stop seeing discipline as punishment. Start seeing it as power, because that's what it is. Number 9, you have to stop talking about it, because talking is easy. Planning is easy. Thinking about what you're going to do is easy. Actually doing it is hard. And the more you talk about it, the less likely you are to do it. Because talking gives you the feeling of progress without the work. It makes you feel like you're doing something when you're not. And that feeling is enough to satisfy your brain. So you talk about your goals. You tell people your plans. You think about all the ways it's going to be different this time. And then you don't do anything. Because the energy that should have gone into action went into conversation instead. So stop announcing, stop explaining, stop telling people what you're going to do. Just do it, quietly, consistently, and let the results speak for themselves. Because nobody cares about your plans. They care about what you actually do. And more importantly, you should care about what you actually do. Not what you said you were going to do. Not what you intended to do. What you actually did. That's the only thing that matters. Number 10. You have to accept that nobody's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you discipline. No one's going to force you to change. No one's going to fix your life for you. That's on you. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's also incredibly empowering. Because it means you don't have to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect plan or the right resources or someone to believe in you. You just need to decide. You need to decide that you're done living like this. That you're done waiting. That you're done being the person who could have been something but never was. And once you make that decision, everything else becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. Because you know what you have to do. You just have to do it. Every single day, even when it's hard, even when no one's wired, even when you don't feel like it, you just have to show up. And over time, that consistency compounds. It builds. It becomes who you are. And one day, you'll wake up and realize that you're not pretending anymore. You're not trying to be that person. You are that person. The one you've been thinking about, the one you've been planning to become. You became them. Not because of one big moment, but because of 1,000 small ones. Because you chose differently. Every single day. And that's how it works. That's how you close the gap. That's how you become the person you planned to be. Not someday, not eventually. Now, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one choice at a time. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for permission or clarity or confidence. Just start right now. Do one thing. One small thing that moves you forward. And then tomorrow, do it again. And the day after that, do it again. And before you know it, you'll look up and realize that you're not the same person you were 6 months ago. You're not stuck anymore. You're not coasting anymore. You're moving. You're building. You're becoming. And that's all you ever needed to do. Just start and keep going, no matter what. Because this is your life. This is your time, and no one's going to live it for you. So stop living like you have forever. Stop living like there's always tomorrow. Because one day there won't be. And the only question that will matter is whether you did something with the time you had. Whether you became who you were supposed to be. Or whether you stayed comfortable. That choice is yours. And you're making it right now. So what's it going to be?